All right, so just want to show everybody the garden update. You can see the dill's coming up pretty good here, really good. We got some sage in the back. The basil didn't do so well. It's starting to bolt there in the back, but the parsley's doing good. Bunching onions over there. Here we have radishes, lots and lots of radishes. I do need to thin some of these out. You'll note that the ones under this tree that get the more shade are growing a lot better. That's because they prefer shade. Here's beets. You can see the beets coming up. I haven't taken the action hoe to it yet to get the weeds out, just because the beets are so small still. I don't want to take any of them out. Here's more beets. Here we have our turnips. Okay, we got 3 rows of turnips. They're getting a little thick too. We need to thin some of them out. Over here on this side, past the herbs, you can see our tomatoes seem to be doing very well. So do our peppers. These peppers especially. Let's see, which peppers are these? They are. So here they come yelling at me. I don't know because everything faded off, so I won't know until after everything is grown up now. But again, tomatoes, peppers, tomatoes, peppers. Here is our Boston pickling cucumbers. And these seeds came from RH Shumway. They've done very, very, very well. I'm super happy with them. And on the left, you can see the Kentucky Wonder pole beans, and on the right are Scarlet Runner beans. They will come up this pole. We do need to get the string on it. A zucchini, and over here, these were the Easy Sow home pickling cucumbers. They're a hybrid. I think we just picked them up at the store to see how they would do, and you can see they're just really not doing very much. So we won't get those again. We got some more zucchinis here on the back. A little concerned about the back one because it's already flowering, and that's an indication that it's stressed out and trying to put its fruit out. So we probably won't get too much zucchini out of that. Here is some more tomatoes. These two down here in this, toward the back, not doing so good. I think they got a lot of bugs got into them. So here's our hot cherry peppers. Really, really excited about these. These are my favorite pickled peppers to have. They're super hot and they're super sweet. And when you pickle them, they taste amazing. I'm almost out for the year too. Here's some more tomatoes, probably some of the best ones we have going. These are black vernissage tomatoes. They are a dark red, almost a black color, like a really deep purple. Here's some more peppers and tomatoes and peppers. And then up here we have our Roma bush tomatoes. Lots of Roma bush tomatoes. These are our primary sauce tomatoes. That's what we use. We did an experiment last year when we saved our seeds. We took the 2 lobe Romas and the 3 lobe Romas and separated them, and we planted them in different spots to see if we would get the same amount of lobes. Didn't know if they were different species or anything, just trying it. Again, here's some more zucchini. There is a muskmelon right there and some more pole beans. In the center of these pole beans, we did plant Swiss chard and lettuce and stuff. Here's another zucchini, not sure how well that's gonna do. And here's Sam holding a duck. They're not too bad to catch, but when they try to get away, their claws hurt a little bit. So some bush beans. We got Roma 2 and some wax beans, and I'm not sure what other kinds. This is a Kajari melon, same as this one up here in the corner. And you can see that the peas are all, we did plant them all the way around the border. The Kajari melon, for anyone wondering, is an Indian melon. And it's really, really colorful. It's supposed to also be super sweet. Check it out online. It is an heirloom variety. These cucumbers were planted a little later. These are our Market More 76s, so I'm real happy that they're coming up. And back here we have some butternut squash and some more zucchinis. Over here, the Hubbard squash, they get huge. They travel all over the place. Just great big bluish gray squash. That's really delicious squash, and I love to grow it. It's really easy to grow. Over here is Hale's Best Jumbo Musk Melons. All of them are doing real well except for one. One really didn't make it there in the back. And over here is our Moon and Stars watermelons. Not very happy with the size of some of them, but we'll see what happens. We're probably going to amend the soil with go ahead and feed them a little bit of some organic fertilizer, some bone meal, and some blood meal, and see what happens. Over here is my early Sunglow hybrid corn, not heirloom, hybrid. It's only got about a 60-day growing time, so I got it in a little bit late, but that's all right because it'll come up. Here is our pie pumpkins. Now you can see that some of our pie pumpkins just didn't make it. And that's because after we put this plastic down, we put it down with landscape staples like these here. And then we put a bunch of rocks on it after the fact because we found that the landscape staples just weren't holding it down in the wind. And the wind ripped up a number of our pumpkins. So that really wasn't good. And then looking at what we had, I found a couple of grape tomato plants. So I don't know if they'll make it to all the way up to bearing fruit this year, but here's hoping. I found them late that we had potted them. And I do have a number of plants left. So I do have a number of Hubbard squash, some butternut squash, a couple of muskmelon, Minnesota midget muskmelons, and some tomato plants. If anybody that sees this is interested in coming out and picking them up, you are welcome to them. Over here we have our Rouge Vif des pumpkins. They're called Cinderella pumpkins. They're really, really neat. They grow real wide. They're a deeper reddish, like a deep orange and almost like a red color. And they're squat, so they're not very tall, but they are very wide, like the Cinderella pumpkin. And over here are the Howden pumpkins. These are a heirloom variety also, so is the Rouge Vif. Saved the seeds from one pumpkin that we got last year. I guess the soil just wasn't good for it. But these are a classic jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. They also do well for pies. The Rouge Vif are very, very good for pies. We absolutely love them. So that is the garden. I did buy this new sprinkler. I just didn't have the time and didn't have the urge to put in a drip system this year. I will be putting one in last year, but I bought this sprinkler. It was a little bit expensive, 60 bucks, but well worth it. I love the way it works. It doesn't get stuck like that cheapo does. So there's that. You can see all these spots are from the meat chickens. We moved the tractors. We were moving them every day. Now we're only moving them, or we're moving them twice a day because they're eating so much and they're getting so big that I think we need to put together another chicken tractor. This is one of my Gold Lace Wyandotte roosters. He is my favorite rooster. Whenever I come near him, he clucks at me and tries to give me food, which is what he's doing right here. He's trying to pick food up and he's dropping it for me. But I'm not one of his girls, so. Right here is our mostly Mystic Marans. We got them on Mother's Day, so they're very young. They can't be with the other chickens right now because they're too young and the other chickens will breed them to death. Do have a couple roosters in here, probably too many roosters, so a couple of them are gonna not make it once they're full grown, but these should turn out to be really good layers once they start laying, which will be probably mid-fall. There is no coop for them in here. We actually move them by hand into their giant box in the inside. Not box, I built it, but it's not exactly a coop either. So didn't want to build another coop because these guys will be moving in with these other guys here in the red coop with the small run, which we do let them all free range. So it's good. This tree, this is a catalpa tree. It really smells fantastic. I cut another one down over here just because of where I needed to put the duck house and the pond. But I'm starting to kind of second guess it because they're really pretty and they smell fantastic. Take a look at the pond. It's finally not draining out anymore. So it's staying in. I guess everything compacted down enough, but as you can see, I've got a real algae problem. I do not have a filter in here, and so I think what I'm going to do is get some kind of running water system in here, maybe a waterfall system or just a fountain system in the middle. And that should, keeping the water running should prevent the growth of algae, and I will probably put some lily pads in there to also reduce the amount of sunlight that hits the water and not let the algae grow. Here's our strawberries. You can see that these strawberries are getting runners. Okay, so these are the runners here. They come off, and what we do is we cover them with dirt. Once they take root, we can actually clip them off and they will continue to grow, like this little guy here. These are marigolds. We really put these in here because rabbits and deer hate marigolds, and it keeps them out of it, but they also, chickens love them. And so it makes the yolks a real nice golden orange, so I really like that. Here's some more tomatoes. These are in our grow bags. These grow bags do fantastic. We started with them first time last year, and they grew, the biggest tomato plants we had grew straight out of those. Up here, we have a lot of our leftover plants. Again, I said we got a whole bunch of Hubbards and different squashes. This one looks like it needs a little bit of water. It's wilting. And our lettuce, which we didn't cut that one, we did cut these two and they're growing back now, but we never cut this one that wilted. So I do need to trim that out and see if any of that lettuce is still good. And if it is, use it and then let that grow back so we can use more. Here's some more tomatoes in the grow bags. And we weren't planning on using this many grow bags, but I guess it's just what happened because we started way too many seeds than what we needed. And I'll bring you back here to the meat birds. Here you can see the meat chickens in their tractors. These are all homemade. I just made them. These are made, the metal comes from the old pool that was here. It was pretty much in disrepair and no good at any point, so took it all apart and used it to make the tractors. Here's the meat chickens. They're about 2 weeks out from butcher. Potentially one, depending on how big they get over the next couple days, but you can see that they're feeders. The one feeder here is a standard feeder, but underneath I have a 5-gallon bucket feeder that I made there and the waterer that I made here. Same thing for these guys. This was my first attempt. You can see it's a little less, not quite as good as this one, but you know, this was my first attempt. There was a lot of lessons learned. This one actually has a latch on it and hinges. This one, I guess I did some measurement errors or cutting errors or something, but you can see I'm using bungee cords to hold this down. But again, same setup over here, homemade water, homemade feeder, and this store-bought feeder. The store-bought feeder really isn't necessary as far as the amount that they eat per day, but they are eating between the two, they are eating about 50 pounds of feed a day. But what this long feeder does is it actually allows all of them, or most of them, to all get at the food at the same time, because they only get fed 12 hours on, 12 hours off, to prevent bone breaking issues and organ failure in them. So that's what. So when we come out in the morning to feed them at 8 o'clock and move the tractors, they tend to rush the food and crowd each other out. So we had to add those extra ones for them. Here's our blueberry bushes. This is a little apple tree, but these are our blueberry bushes. Didn't get this netting up really in time to stop the chickens from eating everything off from the lower sides. But you can see they're actually starting to turn. So I'm really super excited about this. I wish I was getting a bigger harvest this year, but I'm not. And I'll show you this. This is my Connecticut field pumpkin. It was actually a seed left over from 2014, and it probably shouldn't have been viable, but it was. And so I wanted to get at least one pumpkin out of this to save the seeds, and we put it in and put this fence up around it, and the chickens are smart enough to pick through it, so we're just hoping it survives at this point. Some more of the blueberry bush, or blueberry bushes. Really hoping to get some a lot more blueberries next year out of these. I think we're going to fertilize them, and I think that we're going to make sure we get some good organic material around the base of them. Coming over here to the chicken coop. I did not build this. It was here when I got here, but I did put the window in. Built that window and put it in. It's just plexiglass. Tiger lilies in front of it, which were here, and my wife and I absolutely love tiger lilies, so it's that. But coming inside, I mean, it's surprisingly, it is not really hot in here. It's actually fairly good temperature. We don't normally feed inside of the coop, but we do have some babies. So we had 2 hens that got broody and hatched 4 chicks. So we have to put the food in here so they have a safe place to come in and eat. The moms do take them outside most of the day now, so that will be getting pulled pretty soon. In here, these aren't eggs, they're golf balls. We had a hard time when I built this nesting boxes to get the chickens to actually go in there to lay their eggs. So we were reading online and said, hey, put golf balls in there. It will let them know that that's where they're supposed to do it. So that's where they do it. They do have a roost here. It was just a cobbled together thing that I threw together with some scrap wood that I have, and it works really good for its purpose. And they got another little roost here on this side. And sometimes they lay an egg down there, but I don't see one. So I wish I knew where the babies were. I would show them to you, but I just don't know where they are. So plans for this, you can see behind that apple tree, there's a whole bunch of sumac between here and that pond, and all that is going to come out. When the loggers come this year, they're going to be taking all of this out from behind here. We're really clear cutting all of this over to the other side of our property and clear cutting back here all the way back to the creek. And then we have plenty more acres of woods in the back that we won't be clear cutting so that we can keep the habitat there. And hopefully we will be thinning it out, and most of it's softwood, so the plan is to actually plant some hardwoods in there so that maybe in 30-40 years when we pass this on to our kids, they'll have some more organic material. Organic material. I'm looking at the compost heap and think you're speaking before I think. Hopefully they'll have something that they can, some hardwoods that they can log and really give them a good start and help them out as they reach their 30s and stuff. So here's the compost. You see this fence. I didn't buy this fence. Elderly gentleman down the road that was having some problems with his lawn tractor. I had gone down and helped him, and he said, hey, I have some of these old fence panels that fell down, and I need somebody to get rid of them, and I thought of you. And I said, yeah, I'll come get rid of them. Well, instead of getting rid of them, I was able to use them and make this nice little compost area here. So you can see one of my children brought down a head of lettuce and left it in the bag. So I get to go up to the house and yell at somebody in a little bit because it's a consistent problem that we're having with it. So a lot of the pine, you're seeing the pine shavings. A lot of these pine shavings are from the brooders, from hatching the chicks and everything this year. It's all good. This is all, the wood chips are really good because it provides a brown material and the carbon for the organic material to mix into, and it makes really good soil. So we'll probably do 2 more right next to it, and we'll do a 3-year rolling cycle. And that 3-year cycle will, after 3 years, we'll start using what's in that first one there. And that'll be really good soil. We'll probably put all of our leaves and stuff. We're out here in the country, and I've never been a fan of raking leaves. But I think this year we'll probably rake a whole bunch of leaves in there to put a little bit more green material in there and do some stuff with that. Here, this is rose hips. You can make tea out of them. I don't. I like it because the birds love them. They're really good for the birds, so they come in and pick out the rose hips. But it is a type of rose. You can see one of the flowers there. It is rose hips. On the ground here, we have a ton of wild strawberries. If you look, these leaves right here with the jagged edges, these are all wild strawberries. Between myself and my kids and my wife and my chickens, we have picked through most of them. I do not see very many recently. Back here is a trail that goes to the bonfire pit where there will be a fire that is larger than 2 feet in the state of New York, which I'll probably get in trouble for, but I don't care. See the pile down there? It is a work in progress. We do plan to have it built up with all of that sumac and everything that's coming down, and it will be a glorious fire, and I will invite as many people as I can out. So this path was actually, this path was done, and all that was dragged down there as a punishment for one of the children, the 17-year-old. He had to hack this out with his machete, and I have to say that he did an absolutely fantastic job. So I did congratulate him on a job well done, but it was a punishment that was well earned. Here, I have blackberries. We have blackberries, black raspberries, and red raspberries. These are blackberries. I think these are blackberries. Chantel's not back here with her app on her phone to say exactly what they are, but she knows, and I'm pretty sure these are all blackberries. So you see there's quite a bit of them back there. Over here, my concern is that the birds are all going to get to them before we get to eat any of them, which will be very sad to me. These, they look like blackberries, so these ones are already turning color. So hopefully pretty soon we'll have some. Yeah, lots and lots and lots of blackberries. Unfortunately, we won't have these next year because all of this will be clear cut and be turning into pasture. So I guess that's about it for an update on the garden and what we're doing here. And we're planning to make our own little homestead. I think we're going to call it Homestead in the Wild. It's a good name. I got some friends of mine that call me Bale in the Wild. So that's the name we're going to go with. And I think it'll work real well. There's some right there. Look at that. There's some wild strawberries. Perfectly fine to just pick them and eat them. Nothing wrong with them. They're a lot more tart than your regular strawberries, but they taste exactly the same. And I'll have my Sheldon moment and say, fun fact, did you know that a strawberry isn't really a berry? Go on Google and look it up. Talk to you later.